welcome to chat, Moving Fearlessly chat number 15. And the theme of this chat is letting go of the plan. So it's been a perfect, apt beginning of letting go of the plan with Eduardo arriving and Deb reclining.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm going to start with an acknowledgement of country that I think I mentioned last time I'd found, and I think I shared it with people, that I find really speaks very much to the heart and elaborates a little bit more deeply in terms of how I feel about our relationship to the Indigenous people of our Australia. So I want to start by paying my respects and acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. That's the country in which I'm sitting right now, and they are the traditional custodians of this land on which, as I said, I'm meeting. I want to pay my respects to the Gadigal elders, their past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians and elders who may be here with us or on this land that we meet. I want to recognise that I'm an invader and an intruder on these lands. I bring racism, white supremacy, the artefacts of colonisation, and through those roles, I bring the autocrat. This is my Australian heritage. In that context, I seek to open to all voices, especially the Uluru Statement of voice, truth-telling and treaty. So welcome, and feel free to share and acknowledge the First Nations lands on which you are sitting at the moment in the chat as a way of acknowledging this relationship to land and culture. So welcome everyone. Oh, we've got Deb Driscoll there in the background there. No, yes, of course, that's confusing. You know, I'm going to invite everyone as well to unmute yourself, liberate yourself from the tyranny of the mute. It seems to be a norm that's picked up, and we know why, because sometimes you need to mute yourself, and if that happens, then definitely mute yourself. But otherwise, let's unmute and so we can connect, especially in this terrain that we'll be exploring. So, Moving Fearlessly is a collaboration between Moving Communication and Fearless Communicators. Eduardo is the grand initiator, holder, and creator of Fearless Communicators. So welcome, Eduardo. Lovely to have you with us again.
Thank you.
You want to
so
share
much.
something?
Yeah, just grateful for this space, grateful for this collaboration, grateful for this community. Want to honor Deborah, who is feeling well in the moment, and her heart is very much in this conversation and wanting to be here with all of you. I hear from her weekly about these conversations, and just thrilled that this community is continuing to thrive and expand. And just an opportunity in this moment to similarly, I just love the acknowledgement of country that you gave, Johanna. It was just so thorough and so rich, and just a true resonance of, I think our collective belief, in the presence and the existence and the persistence of structural and institutional racism, misogyny, ableism, ageism, and LGBTQ plus phobia, and the opportunity that we all have to use our bodies, our voices, our stories, our breath in the dismantling of those institutions to ensure justice, equity, and freedom for all. And so grateful for this sacred space where we get to gather and learn collectively and see each other and be seen, and to share breath and wisdom and life in this virtual landscape.
Hurrah. I say hurrah to that. Beautiful. So we're going to start with a check-in, actually. And the terrain we're exploring is this terrain of letting go of planning. It's in the invitation I think I shared, it really birthed from a conversation. I was on a chat with a group of people, and we were exploring our response to COVID and sharing stories about our response to, our lives now since COVID. And this theme emerged, and polarity between the planned and the unplanned. And then it was very interesting to hear the different uh, relationships to both of those. And something that came out very strongly was the discomfort in not having a plan, and that COVID was really challenging that element of approaching life, because of course we're trained to have a plan and to know the next step and the goal and go for the results. And this has thrown and put into question that. And what happens if we don't? Here we are. And actually, a lot of people's lives have opened up in very different ways that they would never have come to if they'd stuck to their plan. So I thought I'd offer an exploration of letting go, because what also came up in that was the discomfort in that and the anxiety of that, and not even knowing how to do that, how to let go of a plan. So some of you know, I come from a theatre background, and very particularly from an improviser's background, and not so much scripted theatre. I've done a little bit, but my love is with improvised theatre. And it's been a long exploration of different forms of improv. I'm not so interested in the comedy improv, the witty, that style of improv. I'm more interested in that birthing of spontaneity from somewhere else that isn't necessarily about trying to make people laugh. So I want to take that away. We're not here to make people laugh, but I'm going to use some of these tools that I've learned from improv to explore this dynamic of letting go of the plan. So let's start with this. We're going to check in, and I'm going to ask you to share a couple of words about how you're feeling right now. What's a feeling with you this morning? And spontaneously, on the count of 3, we're all going to reflect that feeling back to you using whatever, your hands, your face, your body. In some way, we're going to reflect that back. You might even choose to use a pen, whatever you like, but in some way, spontaneously, you're going to respond to that person as a way to meet what they've said. So I'll show you how it looks like. I wonder, Eduardo, if you'd share something, a couple of words for how you're feeling right now.
Uncomfortable.
So this is what it will look like. I'll count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll say, uncomfortable. So you may not be as expressive as I am, but whatever you respond to, however you respond, is framed within this wonderful saying from Ruth Sapporo, who's a fabulous improv teacher of many years. Actually, I'm just training with her now. She's 85 years old, been doing this stuff. She's written a book called Action Theatre. And one of her sayings that I think is worth everyone remembering is this: everything is perfect. So simple.
Yes. I just put it in the chat.
Yeah, great. Everything is perfect. Okay, so yes, who would be willing to? A couple of words. It might be just one word. How are you feeling right now, Joe?
Tired.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Someone else.
Playful.
1, 2, 3. Someone else.
I'm feeling grateful.
1, 2, 3.
Grateful. I'm feeling I'm feeling tired and energized.
1, 2, 3. Thanks, Valerie. Someone else.
I'm feeling rushed and happy.
1, 2, 3.
Happy.
Yay! Yes, Annette.
I'm feeling nervously optimistic.
Oh, sorry. Wait, sorry, Samantha. We had Annette. You were on mute, I think, Annette. Okay, we'll wait. Okay. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Samantha. Yes.
I'm feeling nervously optimistic.
1, 2, 3.
Nervously
Be good.
optimistic.
How's that, Annette?
I think that's better. Is that better?
That is better.
Right?
Yes.
That is, sorry about that.
That's
Wrong. Okay. I'm feeling stupid. No. I feel anticipatory.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Anticipated.
Someone else.
I feel my brain is starting to tick over all the possibilities.
1, 2, 3.
Ticking over all the possibilities. Whoa!
Thanks.
I'm happy.
1, 2, 3.
Happy.
To be here.
Are we supposed to be saying words, Johanna, or just the body?
You can if you like. You can if you. Everything is perfect, Deborah.
Everything is perfect. Everything is
Deborah, I love it.
Everything is perfect. I make my own rules. Nothing's fucking planned. Anyway, it's all alive.
So, yeah, if we just pause on that moment of responding, in the moment without a plan, what did you start to notice about that moment? What did you notice? It might be a feeling, it might be whatever. Everything is perfect. We'll just keep saying that. What did you notice in that moment?
Which moment? Aliveness.
Aliveness.
A little bit of fear.
Yes. Yes.
Vulnerability and fun.
Yeah. Yes. All of those really speak to that moment of letting go of the plan, don't they? That there is a definite vulnerability of letting go and releasing into a very vulnerable moment. Or not. Is that a perception? It's so fascinating, isn't it, that our plans somehow give us some sort of sense of protection. And again, if we come back to this fascinating time with COVID, they haven't really. The plans so far haven't. They've been really challenged. Any other reflections on that? Because that is the moment, is how do I let go? What am I experiencing? What do I see there? And how do I move into that? So when you moved into that, I hear that there's a sense of freeing. So actually letting go, there's an expansion there.
Curiosity.
Of
what will be.
What will be. Because all possibilities open up.
Especially when you know everything is perfect.
Yes. Yeah. It's a wonderful framing, isn't it? It's a wonderful, simple framing if we come back to that vulnerability of what is that? That's an interesting spot, isn't it? That vulnerability around letting go of a plan.
But
somehow, yep.
Oh no, sorry. I was going to say, I think we have to, once we've let it go, we have to resist the temptation to plan again.
Yes.
and contain the possibilities.
Yes.
To what we think is the next plan.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's why we're going to do this exercise. So basically, I've broken down stepping into this dynamic into 3 different exercises. And the first one is around being present. And I've got this beautiful quote here I'd like to share. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the experts, there are few.
Like it.
Yeah, that's Shunryu Suzuki from Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And, it speaks to that curiosity, to that moment where, yes, anything actually is possible. Yet with our tendency to, this tension with planning, we can reduce that. And that fear and vulnerability that there won't be anything there and we don't know what to do with it, that it's empty or it's void. And again, for me in that conversation, that's what came up. A lot of people were expressing that fear of, well, what will they do? They may not do anything in their life if they don't have their plan, that nothing will emerge. So I want to take us through an exercise. It's a beautiful exercise shared through a wonderful little book I refer to a lot. It's called Improv Wisdom by Patricia Ryan Madison. And it's a beautiful exercise and it's called The Gift. So what we're going to do is I'm going to invite you to sit for a moment. Again, part of moving into letting go of the plan is also this idea of being present. So let's explore that a bit. A couple of ways we do that now is, and the easiest ways to get more present. And by present, we mean out of thinking about the past and planning for the future. To be here is to connect with our body, because that is the most present part of us. So just for a moment, as you sit, feel the senses in your body. Feel your bottom on the chair. We're all sitting, and your feet on the ground. Literally bring awareness to those senses. And notice that shift from, I think that's what really allows that shift and is a really useful practice over and over again if you're noticing, when you're noticing that you're over planning or pondering about the past, what happened, is to, in improv, a really useful tool is this, to feel your body and to notice a detail in the room, in the moment. So right now, just come back and see if you can maintain that sense, but also notice us. Notice that we're sitting, we're here, as another way to come back. And again, it's bringing attention to yourself around where your state of mind moves. So we're going to just see if we can stay somehow in relationship with both of those, that sense of our body and being present, and at the same time, we're in relationship with the outside world. It's always that's the what is it, a liminal, I'm using that word a lot at the moment, I'm loving it, that liminal space of in-between, of transition between being with ourselves and with other people. In there is the place of possibility. So I'm going to now invite you to feel through your imagination, whether your imagination, you see it, because everyone imagines in a different way, a box sitting on your lap. So there's a box sitting on your lap. Feel it. You can even touch it if you like. And it's beautifully wrapped. See the colors? And the shape of it. What shape is the box on your lap? Feel the weight. And then unwrap it. Let yourself unwrap the box. And take the lid off. And what is the first thing you see? Examine it. Notice the detail of the gift inside. So in doing that, again, I'll keep coming back to this question of what did you notice? Did you surprise yourself? Was it effortless? Or was your mind thinking about what's going to be there? Did you freeze up and there was nothing? I don't see anything. I've got to see something. I've got to see something. And then force something. Or maybe you thought up what should be in the box and you then made a judgment. You were disappointed by the first thing you saw and rejected that and thought, oh no, I want to see something else. And if we come back to that beautiful premise by Ruth Sapora, everything is perfect. Because all of these are, they're normal control strategies because of this tension, I think, with our, planning and I should know, and rationality, as opposed to this spontaneous moment of arrival. And that's what the invitation in this exercise is to notice the arrival from somewhere else. And it's that sense of imagination, which, as I say, for everyone is different. Some people it's visual, some people it's a sense, but it comes from somewhere else outside of that part of our mind that is very well trained to plan. So just a couple of words from you. What did you notice in that for you?
I had a red origami heart that my son made me.
Ah, beautiful. And was that Samantha, the moment you opened, it was a surprise to see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. And when it, do you have a sense of where that came from within you? That moment?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it just was
it
there.
just popped up as soon as I opened the lid, and it just came to me just like that. And it just made me feel whole and happy and
Beautiful. Anyone else? Yeah, Joe.
I had a cavadoodle puppy, and as soon as I opened the box, I knew that actually is exactly my greatest desire.
Wow. And again, was it a surprise? It was.
Yeah, it was a surprise. It was a surprise, and it filled me with, I couldn't believe how much joy I felt with my imaginary puppy. My whole
Powerful.
body is like, whoa, I've got a puppy, but I haven't really.
Isn't it powerful? Imagination. Incredible. Yeah. Someone else had a puppy? Jen?
I had nothing, but it was like it was a space of unknowingness.
An empty sort of space of, was that right? So it was an empty.
Empty.
Yep. And what was that? What is the feeling? What was the?
Oh, that felt really, like this spaciousness, like, yeah, it felt right.
So it was a gift in itself, just having that sense of space. So I'm going to invite us to do it again. And if you noticed any planning, any tightness, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like there was a rich engagement with that, the spontaneity of that moment of anything is possible and not feeling that. But we'll do it again just to see what. Oh, sorry. Yep, Deborah.
Deborah has a good question, because I think it's interesting that we have some parallels. So several people heard hearts. Some people had puppies. I had a bird.
Ah.
And I'm hearing a bird in the background, so I don't know, like, or I may be imagining that I'm hearing a bird. I don't know if someone has a bird around there, but it totally surprised me. I opened the box and this little live bird kind of flew out and it just like kind of moved. And I think it was a stimulus from whatever it was that I was hearing, but it was a total surprise. Like I was completely shocked that that's what happened, but then I kind of lent into the surrender of whatever that was.
Beautiful. Lent into the surrender. That's gorgeous, isn't it? That in terms of letting go, it is that moment of, oh, this is here. How do I take this as a gift and lean into that? So we'll do it one more time just to explore it. So let's go back and sit for a moment and we'll see what other gifts are in there. And if for any reason you're planning or whatever, let's explore that moment of allowing that emerging whatever is there. So again, feel your body. Here we are in this moment, and a box has arrived on your lap. What colors are there? Has it got a ribbon? Feel it, the weight. And then unwrap it. Take the lid off, and there's a gift for you. So again, one or two reflections on this moment of letting the gift emerge from nowhere. What do you notice?
I was planning a lot more this time. I found it much harder to be spontaneous. So in the first exercise, my red shoes would just appeared. I didn't know they were going to be there. And this time I really wanted a xylophone, a wooden glocken, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And I really wished for something in the box. and it wasn't there. It was another lovely wooden object, which I really loved as well. But I had a completely different process that was going on.
Yeah.
It was much harder to be spontaneous and just to let it appear.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yes. Did other people have that?
Yeah.
Bridget?
Yeah, similar. So the box just kept changing.
Yes.
Until finally we let it land, whereas in the first one it just arrived. So there was more anxiety. I could feel anxiety in my stomach.
What fascinating, isn't it? That beginner's mind moment, the first time, and then we start, what is that? I mean, it's these tension points of letting go and letting it move, and like all the choices bubble up and possibilities, and somehow letting go of those at the same time to let something arrive. It's that moment that we're exploring here, is to let it emerge and arrive from somewhere spontaneous that we don't, that is outside of our control. Our what is it? That rationality that tends to hold and control. Annette?
I wanted to say I spent a lot of time examining the wrapping and the feeling, the paper, and so I think I could spend at least another 5 or so minutes in that exercise in just enjoying the box and enjoying the paper and the fact that someone wrapped it. And so both times I wasn't really I didn't get to the anticipatory notion of what's inside the box. It was much more how the box was presented and how someone had made a gift for me.
Beautiful. That's lovely. Really moving into the sensuality of it. Yep. Yep.
Deborah has something to share. I found myself initially influenced by what people had said before.
Yes.
So I felt like I had heart and I had puppies. Like before, I knew what was coming, but I found myself kind of, it's not that, but like all of that. But then what's interesting is when the box opened, it was a kitten. And I was like, I don't want the kitten.
Yeah.
I don't like kittens. They make me sneeze.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but it's so cute. Like,
it
was like this, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I
there
think
it
you're
is.
really adorable, and I guess I'll just take you. You're mine now.
Yeah. That's right. Say yes to it. Exactly. And again, I think these are all reflexes around this moment of planning. and having to change plans and there's some releasing of your ideas and our ideas and expectations, and being with what is. And the next step in this is the principle of, the absolute core principle of improv is the yes and principle. Now, I know there are some people here who've done improv, but others who haven't. So the yes and principle ties back into Ruth's work about playing with that perception that everything is perfect, and say yes to it, like Eduardo just did. Oh, it's a kitten. Rather than, no, I don't want that kitten. I want something else. I'm going to go back to my imagination and come up with something else. How do we embrace whatever is there, rather than judge it as not being good enough or not, for whatever reason? So, okay, we're going to do that. We'll do a little exercise. It's called Do You Remember When? And we're going to go around one at a time. Now, with not everyone has the new Zoom yet, so we can't do this, but just for your information, if you upgrade to the new Zoom, and you have to go into your account to do it, it doesn't naturally do it, you can start to position everyone in set forms. But anyway, we'll eventually we'll all get there, but we're not there yet. So I'm going to mark everyone off by a number, and we'll go around and do this exercise. So we'll start number one, Jen. And maybe Jen, if you put number one on, does everyone know how to rename themselves? The 3 dots at the top of your little screen, and you can put a number in there. So Jen, if you put 1, so we know you're 1, and Joe's 2, and 3, Bridget, 4, Sally, 5, Samantha, 6, Valerie, 7, Claire, 8, Diana, and 9, Annette, and 10, Deborah. So how this works is we're going to, the principle here is to say yes and build on it and add something. So I'm just going to demonstrate it. Well, look like if I was number 1, I'd say to Jen, do you remember when we were in Paris? And Jen says, yes. You always start with yes. And
yes. And you ate too many quiches in Paris.
Nice. So it's that short. Doesn't have to be elaborate, but you build on it. And then Jen's going to go to number 2, who's Joe, and we'll just go around the sequence.
Sorry, Johanna, do you want me to start with something else?
Or just you start with, sorry, pardon me, yes. You start with, the phrase is, we'll stick with Paris. Do you remember when we were in Paris?
No.
And you start with the person's name. Okay, sorry, I'll just frame that up better. So you start with, do you remember, you start with Joe, she's number 2. Do you remember when we were in Paris? And then Joe responds with yes, and.
Mm-hmm. Joe, do you remember when we were in Paris?
Yes, and we walked by the Seine all night in the rain, didn't we? Bridget, do you remember when we were in Paris?
Yes, and we climbed all the Eiffel Tower stairs. Number 4. Sally, do you remember when we were in Paris?
Yes, I do. And after we climbed all of the Eiffel Tower steps, we took all of those amazing photographs from up there.
I think 4, 5, Samantha. Oh, there you
Samantha,
go, 5.
Samantha, do you remember when we were in Paris?
Yes, and we walked all night long going to all the different boulangeries to try out their bread. Valerie, do you remember when we tried to get to Paris?
Yes, I remember. We tried to get to Paris and we had such a hard time. We missed our flight and we were so disappointed.
But we still had fun.
Had fun. You know, we had fun, girl. Claire, do you remember when we went to Paris?
I remember that we toured as many art galleries as we could in one night. Woo! So many. Oh. Diana, do you remember when we went to Paris?
I do indeed, Claire. We rode all day in a 2CV and saw every sight we could. Annette, do you remember when we went to Paris?
Oh, yes. I remember when we went to Paris and you fell in love with that poodle on the Seine. Remember that one?
Absolutely.
Deborah, do you remember when we went to Paris?
Oh, yes, Annette. And we ate so much cheese. Cheese for breakfast, cheese for lunch, and cheese for dinner.
We sure did.
Wonderful. So, yes, and what does it make you feel? What did you notice? A couple of people.
I love that game. I have done improv and I love trying to bring that to life, and it was just so freeing to be able to say anything and the other person to go with it. I love it.
You know, I felt like, you know, we were creating an experience that we both shared, and we were all like on a journey together, and it was just that was a lot of fun. I really felt like we missed our flight. We had fun.
You got there in the end.
Had fun.
You and Samantha having a great time.
Still had a great time.
Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. It's such a, you know, these are such simple principles and yet so challenging at times. That's what always, and I've been practicing improv for a long time, and I can tell you, I still have to remind myself to practice that principle. You know, no, the judgment, our judgment reflex is so strong. Yeah, it's a lifetime practice. It really is a lifetime practice. And yet at the same time, to do that can bring all of this, so much imagination, so much openness, so much connection, so much creativity, so much energy.
But it's like when we were kids and we would just pretend and imagine, you know, and you sometimes you forget, like you still have that superpower. You know, giving up, knowing, you know, giving up, thinking that you have it all worked out or that you need to. When you're a kid, you just live, you have fun, you enjoy, it's no plan. There's no plan, actually.
Yes.
And it's to go home, if you're lucky to have a home to go home to and have dinner and be with your family, if you're lucky enough to have a family, you know, do well in school. But it's like really, it's it's more imagination and creativity, I think.
Yeah.
When you're if you're lucky to have that environment that supports that, because not everybody has that.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, and that's definitely another element of it. Yep. Annette?
In the late 70s, I went to India and I was traveling around Rajasthan, and I was on at a bus stop. There were all these men just hanging around. They're in their colorful garb, you know, in the Rajasthani stuff. and they were sitting there chatting, and I came to me. I said, "What do these people do? Where's their job? Where do these people go? What people in India sit around all day? Well, don't they have just?" And it was just like, it really struck me that my mind. I was so used to the Western thing of we have a job, and we have that economy, and we have this thing, and we have this thing, and people go to jobs, and people, and I just went, wow, there's a different way of actually living here, you know, like, you know, and it really struck me that how conditioned we were in seeing that people go to work and do shit, and other people don't have that opportunity, or don't live in that system, and they sit there and they chat.
Yeah. I know.
And smile.
Yes.
Hello, madam. You know?
Yeah. It's a different tension, isn't it? Again, different.
Yeah.
Yep, Jen.
Building on that, Annette, it's yes and to difference, and yes and to when it's something that we don't like or we don't want, or is in conflict to ourselves. So it's the really tricky part.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I think for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me, you know, sometimes in you know, some of the work I've done with training, when I've come in with my plan and then I roll it out and people don't respond how I want them to respond, how I plan them to respond. And it breathing in the challenge, and I remember just because I'd come into conflict if I pushed back, that my improv practice, that's where I remembered I have to apply improv here. I have to keep saying yes to this. I have to say yes. And I literally have said to myself, say yes, yes, when, you know, I'm meeting resistance or responses that I don't agree with, or I don't like. Especially important now, I think, with this polarization that's going on in the world. How do we keep saying yes? How do we do that? It doesn't mean accept everything. That's not what yes means. It's a spirit of openness rather than closeness. You know, it's either yes or blocking. Questions are blocking. I'm looking at the time. I know it's always a rush and we could always just dig a bit deeper. I want to finish with something, what we're going to do, because something that is another beautiful quote. Again, this is by Patricia, the gift woman. Substitute preparation for attention. Great. Just such a great principle. Yes, prepare. Planning is important. I'm not saying don't plan and vision where we want. Then it's that, like just holding that thought, a lesson from Kate Blanchett, who I read, always an hour before or so before she goes on stage, she doesn't go over her lines and keep preparing. She just works to get present. So she can pay attention. You know, there's a time just to obviously think through and have a sense of what you need to do, and then how do we let go of that and start to pay attention to how the moment, because when you engage with that plan, it will change. So,
Johanna, if I may just I add to that, and it's an and.
Yeah, sure.
As an actor, because you talked about Kate Blanchett, Stanislavski, the founder of the modern theatrical style, the distinction between attention and focus. And that, like, focus narrow, right? And it's expensive, right? That sometimes I think we focus on what's immediate, or we focus on what's here, and all we see is the little thing that's in front of us. And then actually we're not present to the abundance that's around us, right? So I just thought that was such a beautiful distinction that you made in bringing that together. So
it's very true. And sorry,
a beautiful lesson for the moment, you know.
Yes, for many moments. I find this moment repeats and repeats and repeats. You know, we're trained to do this, and yet when we move outward, there's more ability to be present. There's more engagement. There's more information. I mean, I know there's a time to go in and look at something in detail, but then how do we come out? I mean, I think it's just like the rhythm of life, isn't it? The waves, the convergence, what do they call it? Divergence, convergence. So it's 8:56. Let's, I think what we'll do, we're going to finish very briefly with, given this has been a year of letting go of plans, what's going to happen is spontaneously, there's no numbering off now, we're going to start sharing a story, an experience you've had about letting go of a plan in your life. And at some point, you're going to be interrupted by someone, or maybe two people, we don't know. It may be a bit chaotic. And you're going to stop telling your story, and someone else is going to tell their story. And then you're going to be interrupted by someone else. So everything is perfect. So let's take ourselves off mute. And anyone will, I'm going to leave it to that emerging gift moment, and someone will start with their story and experience. And if you notice yourself planning now, let's practice not. It's so interesting. Everyone was like,
yeah.
let's shift that to feeling our bodies, breathing, taking that.
Okay, I'm going to jump in. I'll jump in before I plan mine. I'll jump in now, because I was starting to plan already, thinking about a letting go story. All I can think about is every day. I am forever reorganizing lists, reorganizing strategies of how to do stuff every day and get done what I need to do.
I had to book a flight to Hong Kong that all of a sudden got cancelled out of the blue. I had no idea that was it.
I planned to really have a happy life once upon a time, and you know, I got involved with someone and my plan went out the window. It was a really shit life. And so, but anyway, it all turned out fine. And so now I'm, you know, planning to have a really good life forever and ever. And it's going to just keep going on and on and on.
Working remotely for all this time. I was planning to like be in the office. Not that I really wanted to all the time, but you know, adjusting to working remotely has been really interesting, slightly stressful. Had to build in some additional structure in my life that I didn't have to build in before.
I planned to teach at this university that Valerie Lyons was working at, and I was going to be working with her students. It was going to be amazing. We had all planned, and then I got a phone call from Valerie Lyons as I was standing on a platform in New York City.
Not having a plan has been freeing, because I'm someone who loves to have a plan. And so I had all these plans for workshops this year and different things. And then it was really actually quite freeing to know I didn't have to plan. It kind of gave me much more freedom than I've ever had.
All these projects I had in mind, and I was going to do this and that and fix this and that, and then all the shops closed down and I couldn't do any of them.
I was going to go to Europe this year. It was going to be fantastic jumping on a plane. I haven't been to Europe for so many years.
Well, I'm celebrating my 60th in December. I had every plan in the world to be on a beach, on an island. I just can't believe it. I'll be doing something on Zoom, I suppose. I'm planning something next year.
If you haven't gone, have a go going.
I'm having a double. I didn't plan to have a double go, but I'm going to have a double go because I just want to say that this is so much fun, and I didn't plan to have so much fun at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I didn't have a plan, but I guess I realized it was a plan when I was holding on so tightly to this concept of how I was going to move forwards in my business, and all it seemed to do was hold me back from becoming who I was truly going to be. What a mystery.
I can relate to that, Claire.
It's
I also
really
had a
stressed
plan
me
to turn
out.
up.
Keep going. Everything's perfect.
And then this plan was amazing, because I suddenly realized there is no plan for life. Everything is out of our control anyway, and it's all an illusion. And now we know that it's all an illusion. And that is so free.
It's really worried me and stressed me, actually, this not having a plan. I had plans that lined up over a couple of years to go and intern at a new museum that opened up, and everything just fell apart with COVID. And so my plans changed to go and helping our healthcare workers. So from being really worried about just going amok to having this new amazing plan that made me feel like a person that contributes. That's been really good.
That is good.
Okay. Any reflections?
I have to hop off. So the call will continue with the host, Johanna, I believe. So I hope that if I log off, this isn't like ruin everything. But thank you all so much. Lots of love to you wherever you are. And mwah, till soon. Bye.
Thanks, Eduardo.
Oh, Deborah.
Great.
Yeah,
amazing.
Sorry.
Yes.
Bye,
Fabulous. Great. Well, I'm
thank
glad
you
you
so
enjoyed.
much. That was such fun.
Okay. Good. Wonderful. To whoever needs to go, of course, jump off. And those who can stay, just for a moment to reflect. Alongside the fun, what are the extracts for you in terms of this principle of letting go of planning in your life?
You know, you really wonder, like, what is the plan? You really wonder, like you were sharing, like Samantha, about what showed up for you in not having the plan that you thought you had, but it's another powerful plan. So it really has me like really acknowledge the power of resisting giving up the plan and just to see what shows up, because there's something else. There's always something else. So to think that it's the end all be all, I think for me is the myth, And so to allow whatever shows up and acknowledge that as, wow, what a gift, a whole nother plan. I mean, because, by the way, I'll be speaking next week, ladies.
Yeah.
And, so part of this reminds me of the gift of the pandemic. Yes. It is. That's what I'll be speaking about. So it's like,
love it.
Amazing when you think about it. Inside of the devastation, it's amazing to think about what has shown up as the plan. Could it be to love each other?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Crazy idea.
Crazy. I know.
Oh, there's a big red heart in the box.
That was a red heart in my box.
Yeah.
That was my inside of my box was a red heart.
Ah.
It was. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so I think given the time, we'll finish with that beautiful summary, inspiring summary, Valerie, and
inspiring plug as well.
And an inspiring plug as well.
And you know what? Not for nothing. That's been my training and development, learning how to promote myself.
Good on you.
The person who has a business, not for nothing. Yeah. Learning how to say what's so instead of hiding and withholding, which is my default. Which is my default.
Who else can relate to that? Who else has got a default? In good company, and we look forward to next week and here and being with your presence and what you're going to invite us into. Wonderful, exciting! I'm so thrilled. The last time I saw you was in New York.
That's right. That's great.
So let's finish the traditional way that we do finish and call. I see you. I thank you. Fantastic for you that you're here. Valerie, I see you. I'm so excited that you're going to join us on Moving Fearlessly. Thank you for being here in this session as well.
Okay. Jen, I see you. I thank you. And I appreciate you.
Bridget, I see you and I thank you.
Thank you. Samantha, I see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. Sally, I see you and thank you for your stories and your presence.
Claire, I see you and I thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Diana, I see you and thank you for being part of our conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. Annette, just in case you're in the background, I did see you and I did hear you and I really enjoyed it.
Love it.
And Johanna, I pretend to be Annette. I see you.
Well, we had Eduardo being Deborah. You can be Annette.
It's great not planning. It's fantastic.
That's right.
And I hear you and I thank you so much for this.
Yeah, great. Thanks everyone for joining us once again.
Great.
And you know who's going to be next. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy playing with these principles.